The first thing I gotta clear up is how do you pronounce your name?
I say it Bethea.
That's how you say Bethea.
But
Bethea.
Even my own family members say it differently, and it's just,
because I feel like if I'd said it
what it
without asking, I would have said Bethea. And then I feel like
Andrew Morrill calls me Bethea,
even after many years of playing together.
Yeah, but no, it's no biggie.
But do some people also call you Thea?
Yes, I think most people call me Thea.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever works.
It's a unique name. Is there a story there?
So I was named after my great aunt Bethea, who comes from a few Betheas from Scotland. So it's a Gaelic name.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. You were bound to play bagpipes.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did bagpipes start for you? Was this a childhood thing, or was it into adulthood that you decided to start playing pipes?
So I definitely have kind of some core memories from when I was little. I think when I was about 4, I remember at my grandpa's funeral, and it was, solemn, and it was snowy and freezing, and there's this piper in the distance just playing, and I was like, oh, dang, that's awesome. But I was little, so it wasn't something that I thought a ton about. But then I think I was probably 12 years old. My brother-in-law graduated from the Citadel in South Carolina. And we went to a homecoming thing, and they had a big parade, and you could do tours of the barracks and everything. And so that was my very first time seeing an actual pipe band. And I just I've loved pipes, but that was like super impressive to me. And then when I actually started playing bagpipes, it was not until 2016.
Well,
so not that long ago.
Yeah, that's surprising to me because I don't want to make you blush or anything, but I think you're a pretty darn good piper, and so that's pretty darn recent.
Yeah, so my husband's grandfather had a set of bagpipes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he turned 90, and he said, I know you have an interest in pipes, and these are yours on the condition that you'll play at me and my wife's funerals. So I said, oh, dang, they're 90.
I got to learn that.
I don't know if they're going to give me enough time. But, yeah, his wife just barely passed away in December, so I had a good amount of time, and he's still going. He's 97 or something.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was definitely an amazing gift. So.
Now, are those still like your main set of pipes, or have you got another set of pipes since receiving those?
Honestly, I don't even know what kind of pipes they were.
Yeah.
And I do still have them, but a couple years ago I had a custom set made of Morrill pipes.
Oh, well, you had to, right?
I had to.
Yeah.
It's my instructor, Yeah. But no regrets. They're amazing. I love them.
Was the set of pipes that your husband's grandpa had he played those, or did he just have them?
He bought them. So he spent a lot of time in Scotland teaching, and then he kind of had some experience when he was living in Monterey of some majestic piper climbing some mountain and playing in the evening, and I don't know. So he was like, I have to buy bagpipes. I'm going to learn. And he never did. And what's funny is he gave me the pipes and like the super old practice chanter.
Yeah.
And for some reason, one of the holes was taped over.
Oh.
And I was like, what in the world is that all about? And the next time I saw him, I realized he was missing half of his ring finger on his right hand. Oh. So I was like, yeah, it would have been tricky.
That's funny.
So he got in some wacky accident when he was little. So anyway.
When I was a kid, both of my grandpas had different fingers, but missing fingers. And I, as a child, just like, how kids just accept the world that they're presented with, and don't know to ask questions about it. So my assumption was that to become a grandpa, you had to give up a finger. And it still makes me laugh now to think about that, because piping and other instruments are so important to me. Like, I know exactly which finger I would give up,
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad it's not a requirement, as it turns out.
My goodness.
But I know that you also play trombone.
I do.
I saw some cool pictures of you playing with like a legit group at a band show or a bar show or something recently. So like, what? Tell me all about the trombone up to that cool gig. Like, what was going on there?
So I guess my other musical stuff kind of started in like 7th grade. So I've played the oboe and trombone for about 24, 25 years. So oboe-wise, that kind of made my transition to pipes not that big of a stretch.
Right, yeah.
Kind
so
of
similar.
intonation-wise and reeds and just kind of tuning and stuff. Maybe came a little quicker than it might have to most. But trombone, I had a crush on a kid in 8th grade, and he was in the jazz band.
Here's how the story always starts.
I was like, dang, I need to learn trombone over the summer so I can like be awesome and sit by him in jazz band. And his name was Bart. What a great name.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I started jazz band and he quit.
Oh no.
It was
Men,
okay.
am I right? Typical Bart.
Oh my gosh, such a Bart. But it stuck and I had a lot of fun doing that. So I did jazz band and stuff in middle school and high school and oboe, and then in college I actually played more trombone than oboe, and so I went to the University of Utah.
Yeah.
So I played in the marching band there, and then I played trombone in their like jazz ensemble. And it was fun to travel around with them, and I learned a ton doing that. So but ska band wise was what you were talking about.
Freaking ska music, it's so cool. I love ska music.
Me too. When I was in high school, me and my friend Lindsay were both like girl trombone players, and we were like, "You want to play in a band or something? That'd be fun." And have you ever? I don't know. Back in the day, it was utahska.com, and it was like all things Utah ska, and it was like, anyway, there were all these forums.
I was absolutely familiar with the website, and this was like in my memory at least absolutely connected to also like all of my MySpace obsession with following ska bands, and especially like with MySpace, especially like small local to wherever they were ska, like DIY garage ska bands kind of thing.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, so there was a forum, and it was just this local band. They were like, "We're looking for like some horn players. Reach out if you want to, come jam or whatever." And so we messaged these guys, and we were like, "We play the trombone. We'd love to, come and just hang out or whatever." And we ended up playing with them for a little while, and our name was Special Edward.
Nice.
And so I was like 16, 17 or something, and we would play all over Salt Lake, and
that's too cool.
It was a lot of fun.
I respected you already, but I respect you a lot more now. That just takes away. Like, the thing is, I love ska music so much. I listen to it all the time, and I do play the trumpet, but like I've tried to play along with some of my favorite tracks. I can't get up there, like I can't get the stabs to be so loud and so high, and so like I'm absolutely like a very much a observing and passionate admirer, and so for anybody to like get in there and do it, that's awesome. Way to go.
No, I think for a long time I was definitely timid, but I was just like, all right, this is what they want me to sound like.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't be timid if you're playing horns in a ska band, right? Everything they're asking for is like punching it right out the gate. It's not like you can fake your way into the note.
Right. And that's the funny thing is, like, generally, like, I'm actually pretty, like, low key.
But you play bagpipes and ska trombone.
Exactly. I don't know why I put myself in these weird situations where I'm just, like, stared at and it's uncomfortable. But Bethea, I love it.
There's a thing there. Like, I don't have empirical data for this, but, like, I've talked to enough people at this point that I start to feel like there really is a pattern there where, like, I think there might be a lot of otherwise very quiet, reserved people who end up like being drawn to pipe band, bagpipes and drums. Like there's something. There something
majestic?
It's majestic. Yeah.
There's something just awesome about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did my time in Special Edward, and I played in another band right after that called Loiter Cognition, which is like another little local band, and they were a little more, it was called like ska core, or like something like hardcore ska, like screaming, and it was wild. But fast forward like 20 years, and I reconnected with some friends from high school, and re-met all of those Special Edward guys, and now play in a band called Racist Kramer.
Oh, you just the classy names
stupid.
Just keep coming. This is
I
great.
know. Racist Kramer, and it just it's a ton of fun. So yeah, I don't play all their tunes, but like a handful of them will go to their shows and play. And we just played a show in December at the Depot. We opened for the Bouncing Souls.
There you go. That was where I saw the photos. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was one for the books. So
that's super cool.
It was awesome.
Has your oboe, like, I get the impression that it's way more common for oboe players, especially if they've been doing it for a few years, to end up gathering some like reed making and maintenance equipment and do a lot more sort of hands-on reed stuff than I'm used to doing with my bagpipe reeds.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely a lot of, I took like private oboe lessons, and half the time it was reed making.
Yeah.
And I still was awful at it. And I think that was really kind of a reason I couldn't really like grab on and keep going with it, just because I struggled, and then I kind of latched onto trombone more because I was doing that more. Anyway, but yeah, I definitely
you can trust your mouthpiece to always work. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know I had all these little tricks to like keep my reeds forever, and I'd get in trouble for eating before I played and stuff, and I was just like, look, the sugar preserves the wood.
There you go.
Or just had like these stupid excuses, or like fills the cracks in the reeds perfectly so it can like, I don't know, but
is there, do you ever think to yourself that like there's room for now I'm not trying to put reed makers out of business or anything, but like is there room for more Highland pipers to like, know our reeds a little better, if not to make them, at least to maintain them a little better?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's even times like just in a band setting where, I wish that I could like be trusted to alter my own reed. Yeah. But I just go over and have it fixed for me. But no, it's definitely something that I feel like people should. I wish I had the time to do it more of it. Just kind of dive in and kind of figure out how to perfect my own reeds just for me. And
right.
But it's definitely something people can do. It just sounds scary and expensive.
it sure does. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like taking the first stab at it is it's a pretty scary thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. Bagpipe reeds versus oboe reeds, I feel like are a little more simple. So I don't know.
It's interesting. I have a friend who plays oboe and is like a pretty serious oboe player and teacher and stuff like that. And I have asked her before, and I don't want to bug her. Like she didn't really answer, so I'm like, I'm not asking again. Like I'll wait a year and then ask again. But I've asked her before, like, do you think you could look at a bagpipe reed and then show me how to like take care of mine better? Like show me how to fix it and stuff. But,
yeah, there's definitely stuff you can do.
Yeah. So has there been any discussion amongst you where that first set of pipes came from your husband's grandpa, right? Like, is your husband also learning pipes, and is he going to play his grandpa's hand-me-down set, or is it like, no, sweetie, you do this. That's you that's all you.
Yeah, he kind of has that as just my thing. He has zero interest. He's very supportive, and I definitely couldn't do it without him helping with kids. I've got 3 kids at home.
And are you like me, living all of your dreams vicariously through your children, so you'll just make them do everything that you wish you could do?
Basically, I'm trying anyway. They're way better at most things than I ever was. But anyway.
Any of them picking up pipes yet?
No, I'm trying not to push it. I'm trying to be so patient.
Yeah, I hear you.
But no, my oldest kid is 14, and he started saxophone a couple of years ago, and it lasted 1 year, and which I'm grateful for. But like, I try not to be like, you gotta do band, but
right.
But I'm working on it. My next one's going into middle school next year, so
yeah,
he's my next victim.
Your next victim.
My next kid, but
they keep you busy though, yeah?
Yes, they do. It's a lot. They both were my two youngest have done highland dancing a little bit.
Oh, have they?
And so that's kind of been intertwined with some of our bagpipe concerts,
Yeah.
That's been nice and hectic still, but and then my youngest daughter, she has kind of shown some interest in tenor drumming, so I bring her to rehearsals in the hopes that she'll kind of want to keep coming and not feel pushed by me. So luckily Matt Biggs' daughter, she loves her Henley, so
right.
That's a draw.
that's such a thing, right? Like I often think about how lucky I was that I started in pipe band as part of a high school program, so I had like tons of friends there,
Yeah.
Trying to get a kid into it when like everybody around them is old people, like that's not as much fun.
It's not super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so the kids, you got to get the kids in packs, in groups.
Yes. No, definitely. And even when I started, I was like, I'm going to be the old grandma of the group, or which is not the case, but I love the span of ages and.
But also this is me speaking from like as like a very much like kind of adjacent observer. Like I kind of know who you are, Bethea. Like we know a lot of the same people, and like we run in similar circles and stuff like that. And I see your pictures on Facebook and stuff like that. And so like this kind of like third party observer from the outside kind of situation where like you do strike me as the kind of person who someday when you are like the pipe band grandma, you're gonna embrace that and be a really cool pipe band grandma.
I hope so. I'm all about it.
Yeah. There's something about like the pipe band grandma aesthetic maybe that would be like upgraded somehow, right? Like make it really cool. Like a rockabilly grandma maybe.
Oh yeah. No, that's me. Rockabilly Pipeband Grandma.
Yeah. Who plays with Racist Kramer even into her 90s.
Oh man, I hope so.
What ska band has ever had all of its members live that long? We don't even know what it's like for them.
But dude, going to some of these shows, it's like, dang, how old are these guys? Like, it makes me feel better. They're all old too.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I went to like Real Big Fish, and I was like, holy smokes, they're all old. But
I didn't. I don't know if you also like maybe I was mistaken in thinking this, but I was under the impression when I was a teenager that like Real Big Fish was one of those bands that like similar to the Grateful Dead that like if you wanted to, this was like a potential life path. You could just follow Real Big Fish around the world your entire life. Like,
yeah, I'm sure there are people that do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a funny thing getting older. I went to in June. I guess that was last month. Holy smokes, summer's flying by. Anyway, I guess it was in May. We went to Punk Rock Bowling, which is in Las Vegas, and so it's just tons and tons of just punk bands and stuff I grew up going to, and again, everybody's so old. It's like, oh.
And then you look around, you're like, why is everybody else getting older? Like, obviously I'm not.
You see all these people clawing their way out of a mosh pit, and they're like 50 years old. It's like, dang, good for you.
Yeah. We need like some like slow-mo gentle mosh pit options.
I know. Yeah. The geriatric pit.
Yeah, the shin kick mosh pit where you can't really kick much higher than that anyway, so.
Absolutely.
So you've got your piping, you've got your trombone playing, you've got your awesome kids, you've got this beautiful bird song I'm hearing in the background. I just absolutely love that. What else takes up your time and attention?
Ooh, That's a good question, because so much of it is band.
Okay, then I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, and if you don't want to talk about this, it's okay. But
that's fine.
I talked to Eric a little while ago. We were talking about his potential ghost hunting podcast.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And he informed me that you're a medium, so maybe tell me about that.
Yeah, I've had some pretty just wacky experiences my whole life. And I kind of feel like they've come and gone, and as I've gotten older, they kind of make more sense. Yeah, it's not something that I utilize a ton, but it's definitely something that is constant.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Bethea, I feel like I used to have more of an ability for or a propensity for a sort of magical worldview kind of thing, and I am just getting increasingly crusted over with cynicism and angst as I get older, and so I want to hold on to some magic, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I think it's just little. I think the first experience I ever had was when my grandpa died when I was 4 or 5. And I swear I saw him in our basement, and it wasn't scary, but I was just kind of oh, that's weird. And then I just carried on doing whatever I was doing, ran up the stairs and played Barbie dolls or something.
That's interesting to me as a formative experience, that it would have been something that happened at such a young age and wasn't scary. Because the concept or idea of that kind of thing, if somebody hadn't had, you were young enough to be innocent enough, that it didn't have to be a scary thing. But as one gets older, the idea of seeing one's dead family members can sound very scary,
Yeah. And I know you always hear that kids have, more sensitivity, or that they're, open to more, I don't know, but maybe that was it. Maybe it was just random, but yeah, over the years, I've just had different things happen, and a couple of years ago, so I love cemeteries, and
it's great that you play bagpipes. Lots of reasons
to
go to cemetery.
It's true. I'm always in cemeteries even before I played pipes, so it gives me more reason to be there. But I was up, so right now I'm up here at my cabin. It's in central Idaho, near Stanley, Idaho. And there's a lot of old ghost towns and mining towns, and along with all of those little cemeteries. And so I think I went to one day, and then here, and it was just a quick little blip of, I don't know. It's very strange to explain, but it was basically this lady was in my room, and dressed in kind of 19 or 1880s kind of clothing, and was basically just checking things out and saying thanks for visiting the cemetery, and bye. And it was super quick, and wasn't creepy. It was just easy. And I don't know, just little things like that. But definitely, so in 2017, my middle child was in a drowning accident.
Oh my gosh, Bethea, I've seen you post about the drown-iversary before.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I've got my kids in swimming lessons right now. And on the one hand, I'm okay, they've got to be in swimming lessons because they've got to prove to me that they can swim, because that kind of thing, it's such an anxiety point for me, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm so scared of it, I don't even want to send them to swimming lessons. I'm
oh, yeah.
I'm very driven toward this, nope, you're all going to stay in my house until you die. We're living together in the basement forever. I'm not going to risk it.
It's so true. And that was a crazy time where, all my kids were in swim lessons, and I felt pretty comfortable about their abilities, and the pool wasn't super deep. And anyway, it was a split second, and even all the parents were in the pool too, and there was only 7 kids, and
it's not the situation where you could even imagine that kind of accident
not at
happening.
all. And it's not like it is in the movies where they're screaming
right
you're when you go in, they just kind of, it's really quiet. And so I I looked over and he was at the bottom of the deep end, and I was like, oh, he's going to pop back up, and I waited like 2 seconds. I was like, oh, crap. So I went and pulled him out, and I could kind of tell he was not there. And my 2 friends that were with me helped me pull him out, and they did CPR, and I called the ambulance, and it was the longest 5-minute wait ever, but
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's weird to look back on and be like, that really happened. But
I mean, like I said, can't imagine. Like, I'm imagining right now, but I know that I can't even quite grasp it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but luckily he's totally fine, and it was just such a weird roller coaster that the prognosis wasn't good, and we even got flowers from people that were like, we're sorry about your loss, and I'm just like, dang it. But yeah, we were up at Primary Children's for 2 or 3 weeks, and somehow
was
fine.
it a long time before he was conscious again? Like, was he on life support for a long time, kind of thing?
He was, yeah. So let's see. So like the first week and a half, we were in the ICU, and he was intubated, and they kind of put him into a medically induced coma just to give his body time to rest, and and so periodically we'd take him off the sedative or whatever and try to bring him out of his coma, and it just was never really successful.
That's such a long time. Like, I can't, like, you must have been so tired.
It was awful.
Jeez.
But I will say, like, during this whole experience and that whole time, I did have like another just influx of weird spiritual experiences, and it was just like, dang. And some people are like, that's baloney, that stuff is stupid, but I don't know. To me, the things that I've seen, and the timing and the actual people that show up, like, it is no coincidence in my mind. So and it was very comforting. So my grandfather was a thoracic surgeon, and specialized in heart and lung, everything. And so one of the things I did see was him visiting, and it was really interesting, kind of how it looked. It was just very odd, but it was really comforting. So I kind of knew that he was the one I wanted there, checking out my kid.
That's lovely. I love any idea of like that, like, intergenerational connection too. I think it's a lovely thing. And like I say, like I have a hard time getting all the way in there myself, but it's like I want to, like I want that.
That experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that, I'm happily willing to be wrong about, but I'll take my experiences and roll with them, and I'm happy.
I just a week or so, maybe it's been 2 weeks now, I was looking at some totally unrelated stuff, but a pioneer era woman's like reminiscence came up as part of it, and she said she had been a midwife, like a frontier midwife. Can you imagine, right?
Yeah.
And she said, I can't remember now if she said she'd had a dream one night or if it was more like a I don't know, like a waking vision experience or something like that, right? But basically she saw herself in like a different place, kind of a paradise kind of situation, and there were tons of people all around her, like pressing toward her, and she wasn't sure who they were or why they were there, because they were all like grown-ups, right? But then they all started saying to her something like, yours were the first hands that held us. Now, with those same hands, bless us now, or something like that, right? I don't remember exactly how she described it, but I got goosebumps because it's such a beautiful idea,
Yeah.
Like even if I can't, like, in a way, I guess, like, go like, this is absolutely real, and I think like in a very, like, physically verifiable way, right? I still the idea is still so beautiful to me. My goodness, like how many dozens of babies did that woman deliver through very difficult circumstances, I'm sure, right? And then to have that kind of experience is beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I could talk about this forever. We
don't have to talk about bagpipes. We can talk about ghosts the whole time.
I love all of it. We can talk for hours.
Yeah.
But it was probably 15 years ago.
Mm.
I, again, love cemeteries and love especially really old ones and just kind of researching things about it. And my dad kind of informed me that there was a cemetery in Midvale, Utah that was like our family cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like kind of mad because I didn't know about it yet.
Why did I not know about it?
Why would you keep this from me? So my maiden name is Cutler. So very English. So there's an old pioneer cemetery in Midvale called the Cutler Hill Pioneer Cemetery.
Oh, really?
And I think he was my fourth great grandfather. He came and founded Midvale, and he owned a bunch of property and then allowed like his friends and neighbors to be buried there too. So it kind of became kind of this neighborhood city cemetery in a way. And anyway, I'm
looking up photos of it right now.
The Pioneer Cemetery?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones. And it's the weirdest story, but basically over time it kind of fell out of family hands and it was just kind of, neglected. And then the trains, there was a train, area there that would come out from the Bingham copper mines.
Oh yeah.
And it would dump literally just like toxic waste and slag like all over the graves in the cemetery and the area. And so like 20 years ago or more, the EPA came in and like dug some trenches to kind of find the parameters of the cemetery and kind of test, toxicity levels and this and that. And so when I heard about this, it was basically at risk of being demolished and like developed over because they were doing a lot of redevelopment in Midvale. And so I became heavily involved. And so it was me and like my dad's 85-year-old cousin out of just the thousands of Cutlers. It was kind of funny that it was just us, but so I would go to I was part of this redevelopment committee and all of these different committees, so they would all kind of like defer to me to like speak for the family, which was
the
kind
authority
of interesting.
figure there. Yeah.
So basically we found there was this little Boy Scout that was like, we want to come and clean gravestones in your cemetery.
Oh, nice.
And we were like, okay, but there's no gravestones. Like, we don't know who's where, and it's kind of a mess. There was one stone that we knew of, and so he said, well, let me call you back. And apparently kind of his mentor had access to a ground penetrating radar machine.
Ah, yeah.
And this guy was going to charge us, and he was going to come out and, go over the whole perimeter, and all these little scouts were out there with flags and marking GPS points. And by the end of it, the guy with the machine was so moved by like what we found that he like was just crying. And he didn't charge us a penny, and he's just like, I was just super happy to be a part of this. And so basically we knew that there were at least 14 confirmed people there with names, and in the end there were between 80 and 150 likely graves.
Wow.
And it was just this really cool experience to kind of find this. They were all laid out one by one, and it was pretty cool. So, spiritual experience wise,
a lot more deep. I
don't see things just like straight up in front of me or anything. It's kind of weird to explain.
Hey, don't worry about that. Yeah, I think, Bethea, that it matters to acknowledge that, like, when an experience is by definition ineffable, it shouldn't be surprising that it's hard to describe in words. So that's totally understandable.
But a friend I was with, she has similar experiences, and she's like, "You're not gonna believe what I'm seeing right now." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "There's people out there." And I was like, "Tell me more." And she was just like, basically, like, at some of the graves, there were couples just kind of there, just watching, and were, like, happy. And that were, like, they weren't, they didn't have something to take care of, but, like, they were just grateful that they were being acknowledged, and that they weren't forgotten or something. And, there were probably 50 people out there. And I was like, holy cow. It was just really cool to help.
Yeah.
In my tiny way. So
could you guys go back there every Memorial Day or anything like that? Or does it figure into your life in an ongoing way, or was that kind of a one-time project?
No, I definitely stopped by. I used to live fairly close, and I stop by every now and again, and it's kind of funny because it's tucked in between all of these like townhomes. So it's part of like kind of a green space requirement, and they made it into a really cool like park. But
just tell them not to dig.
I know they totally like did not super disclose that it was a cemetery, I think, just because they wanted people to buy the homes.
Right.
but I assure everyone it's a happy spot. But yeah, I think just after that, basically, it's a whole other story. I can tell you another time, but it's pretty wild.
I'll make you really jealous. I grew up across the street from a cemetery. And
my gosh.
like my I have memories from childhood. My dad thought it would be funny when they would dig a grave, a day or two before the service was going to happen. He'd lower us into it, like as kids.
Oh my gosh!
And actually, one of my neighbors accidentally rode his bike into an open grave once.
Oh,
I mean,
my gosh.
like open hole. I mean, right? Like this is pre-casket and stuff, right? They're just the city workers are over there working,
Yeah.
But we'd play night games in the cemetery pretty regularly during the summer and stuff like that. And in fact, that same friend. Poor accident-prone friend who rode his bike into the hole. He also once tripped and broke his jaw on a headstone at night there too. And
oh my gosh!
But I'd go over there to play my bagpipes all the time when I was learning how to play.
Yeah.
Actually, well, you knew Zach Lees, right?
I did a little bit, yeah.
So and
just
that's
briefly.
the neighborhood where we were close friends, and so that's the cemetery where he's buried now too.
Wow. Oh, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
His mom was really happy because that hill that's close to his grave is where. We'd run back there to pee, and so we didn't have to go home. We'd just go pee off the edge of the hill. there were no graves back there at the time. It was just undeveloped land, so it was okay. I'm sure.
That's so funny. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, I think that was one of my first memories of you. I think did you speak at his funeral?
Oh, I did speak at his funeral. Yeah. That's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a special time. Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Maybe we can try to talk a little more bagpipes, a little bit.
Whatever.
If your husband isn't super into learning to play pipes, what about him and your kids and the other people around you? Like, who gets to hear you play, and are they excited to hear you play, or are they kind of like tolerating it and being like, "Hey, Bethea, Bethea, excuse me. Hey, Bethea, why don't you go up to the family cemetery to practice for a while instead of the backyard?"
I know. Most my kids can't stand it.
Oh, really?
But they've come to accept that it's just going to happen and then it's done. So I get a lot of slam doors and people that are mad. But the main thing that happens is my dog just sings and sings and sings and will not be quiet. So I have to people think that I'm abusing her or something because she just... or they think it's hurting her ears or something, but even when I go up to her, she doesn't move, she just... So anyway, I have to hide her away so I can concentrate.
That's great that she likes it, though.
She loves it, but she messes with my tuning, so...
That's right.
Really hard to hear.
Hard to zero in on your tenor drone when your dog is almost matching it. Huh?
Yeah, it's so frustrating. But yeah, no, I think in general, people are usually... pretty pumped to hear me play, or if they haven't heard me before, but my family is tolerant for sure.
Wait, when you started learning, did you go straight to the Moyles for lessons, or was it right into Wasatch, or did you go elsewhere first?
Yeah, so I got the pipes in December of 2015, and I started lessons 2 weeks later with Andrew Morrill. Because I was like, all right, let's do this. And it turns out, so I had heard of him before, and I thought of him as a teacher, but then I realized that my sister lived in his neighborhood.
Oh, really?
And so for a couple of years, every Monday I would go for a lesson, and my sister would watch my kids, and then we'd all have dinner together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. So I did that. And
my wife's aunt lives just a few doors away from Andrew too. So look,
oh, really?
Maybe my wife's aunt knows your sister, and look how connected we are.
It's possible. That's probably true.
My wife's
maybe
aunt
I know
knows
your aunt. Sister. And that's what's funny is my sister's husband's cousin. I mean, this is Utah.
This is so great. I love this.
We're all entwined somehow. Yeah. My sister's husband's cousin is in Wasatch. And so
really?
We never thought that it'd be.
And was before you started playing?
Yeah, for years.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a snare player in the grade 2. Mm-hmm. Brandon Phillips, maybe you know him. I don't know.
I definitely recognize that name. I bet we've met before.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of funny. It's all intertwined, and my sister lives in his old house, and it's just.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
So then, now the next thing we need to find out is like which one of my obscurely distant relatives is buried in your family cemetery.
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be the next thing. No, actually, well, I won't drag us off on that again. I've got a family cemetery story too, but we'll see if it comes up again later. I'll try to steer this direction for a minute.
That's okay.
With the piping though, did you go straight into competitive piping too? Like which groups are you playing with in Wasatch right now? I guess too.
So yeah, so right now I'm playing pipes in the grade 4. And then I've been kind of filling in as a tenor in grade 2.
Oh, right on.
So in high school, I also did like a lot of percussion and took drum lessons and stuff. So I can read rhythms. Flourishing, I still am working on. But yeah, a couple months ago, they were just like, we need someone to play this part for Chicago. So they gave me like 7 or 8 weeks to. No, it was more than 8 weeks, but to kind of learn 2 MSRs and a medley.
My goodness.
And go to Chicago.
That's the grade 2 workload right there. Yeah. Like we talk about, like those of us who play with lower grade bands talk about how like, well, it's a level of play that would be difficult to achieve, but to some degree, maybe we're actually the smart ones that we just realize we don't have time.
Yeah.
The amount of music you have to learn in a grade 2 and grade 1 band.
Oh, honestly. And it's been like I've wanted to play more tenor just because I do like doing it, and
yeah.
I wasn't playing in a band, and so I was forcing myself to kind of solo and have a reason to learn anything on it. And,
yeah.
So yeah, it's been boot campy. It's been been wild, thrown into the fire. So I think my very first time competing on a drum was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
and in Chicago of all places.
So bad. Yeah, it was intimidating, but I learned a lot, and we didn't do too bad. So
no, that's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, I was talking to Swan about it. I think what did he say? Like middle of the pack, right? Like 7, 14 or something.
There were 7 grade 2 bands.
Oh, then was it like 3 out of 7 or I forget now.
We got 4. We got 4th out of 7.
That's right.
So, but the top 2 bands
I knew 7
are like
figured in there somewhere.
Yeah, the top 2 bands are like nearing grade 1 status, so you can't feel too bad about that.
Can't feel too bad about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The if I remember right, it was Liesl who was telling me that she also plays trombone and tenor and pipes.
Yes. You
two are like made to be best friends.
I know. No, honestly, I love Liesl, and she's been awesome to kind of talk to about, all things musical, but especially as I'm trying to scramble and learn tenor stuff, she's been.
I thought you were going to say Ghost.
Very helpful.
So she's been awesome to talk about
too.
Ghost. That too.
No, we've talked about Ghost too for sure.
Have the two of you ever tried working out some, like Wasatch does those really cool concerts in the park, and like I've seen you guys get out like djembes and stuff like that before.
Yeah.
Like, when do we get a B flat chanter matched with some trombones?
You know what? I'm trying to like push it every year, or at least like mention it, and it doesn't latch on. But there's quite a few of people in Wasatch who play other instruments like trumpet and other stuff, and really good guitar players. And
a little while ago, Tyler was shooting me some messages on Facebook being like, "Why have we not done a Hellbound Train ska ska take on Hellbound Train?" Like, that one feels like it would fit pretty easily.
No, absolutely. I'm on board.
Make it happen. We'll make this happen.
It's all SKAtish.
It's SKAtish. Oh my gosh, it's too perfect.
It's
We
just
can definitely make this work.
We're gonna be SKAtish Power, but SKA.
That's such a good idea.
Just
SKAtish Power. This has to happen.
It's meant to be.
Yeah. Hey friends, thanks again for tuning in to this episode. It was a lot of fun to talk to Bethea. She is a one cool cat, as you've already discovered, and we'll discover even more so here in just a minute when I get out of the way. I just want to let you know real quick, as usual, that you can reach the show via email and social media and all that kind of stuff. It's all in the show notes. But also that right now, today, Saturday, as this episode is coming out, Bagpipe Swag still has its Black Friday sale going. So we're going to just let that run, partly because of like time zones and, you know, the piping community being so much in diaspora around the world, etc. We started the Black Friday, like, man, I'm not into like, I don't know, the culture of consumerism so much. Maybe I am, actually. Maybe I am into that. I'll sort that out with a therapist later. All I'm trying to say is that, like, in an effort to make the things that are on sale just available to people, like, in different time zones, we just turned it on Thursday, the Thanksgiving Thursday before Black Friday, then it ran through Black Friday, and right now it's Saturday, but we're just going to let it run through today as well. So at the end of the day, Saturday, my time, that's Mountain Standard Time, what is that, Greenwich -7, I think, or something like that. Basically, I'm just saying, if this episode just came out, you still got time if you want to get over there. We got, with this year, instead of doing one product on heavy discount, we just did a ton of black t-shirt versions of some of our most popular designs, all of them discounted to $17, as well as a couple of notebooks. We're trying out notebooks, and we thought, getting close to the end of the year, those of us who are into like planning a day or journaling or something like that might be looking for a New Year notebook. So we got a couple of notebooks on there as well. But it's like, theme being Black Friday, it's all black stuff, like black t-shirts and black notebooks, and they've just got designs on them, and it's all discounted down to $17. Screaming deal. Limited time, though. You know, hop over there and get some while you can, and let's get back to hearing from this cool gal, Bethea. And thanks again for tuning in, and have a really great and safe and enjoyable holiday season, and goodbye. So then, Bethea, you travel around with Wasatch a decent amount. Like, if I was going to ask you to pull one off the top of your head, like, what's a favorite experience playing your pipes?
Ooh,
I mean, whether it's competition or otherwise, of course, it could be something in the practice hall, of course, too.
I've definitely had a lot of good experiences, I guess. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I wouldn't have kept going. Yeah. Right. But I will say one that sticks with me is my very first time. I think it was the Vegas Games in 2018, I want to say. Yeah. And I was so nervous. And, like, one thing about me is, like, I hate to suck. Like, I hate sounding terrible. I hate struggling. I hate looking like an idiot. And I think I was writing with Eric Evenhouse, and I was just like, dude, I want to be good, but, like,
I don't want to do bad.
I don't want to go out there and play because I know I, like, don't sound good. And, like, he was super comforting. He was just like, look, everyone sucks, and then you don't suck anymore. Yeah. I was like, you're right. Okay, I don't feel as bad. But
well, I think with Jake the dog, just said sucking at something is the first step toward being kind of good at something.
It's the truth. Absolutely. So, it was my very first time competing, and the judge was Jack Lee.
Oh, wow.
So, and obviously,
and
like,
did you know who he was at that time too?
I knew the name, but I didn't know that's who it was. And so somebody walked up there with me, and they're like, "Do you know who that judge is?" Like, no.
Great thing to say before the competition.
I know, and they were just basically like, "That's like one of the best bagpipers in the world. Like, he's incredible." And I was like, don't tell me that you know he can. Obviously, he was wildly kind and, you know, super encouraging, but but that will always be a good memory, is just kind of throwing myself out there and just kind of doing the thing. So
you gotta try it and find out, or you never find out.
So and I don't know if you remember, do you know who Jim Cameron is? He's from Colorado. He was from Colorado, but he would come play with Wasatch and travel and compete with us and stuff. And
I don't think I ever had the pleasure.
Yeah, he passed away a couple years ago, but he was an airline pilot. And I would talk to him a lot because at one point I was also working on a pilot's license, and
what?
But I never soloed, because I had to move home.
You're living like 6 simultaneous lives. So I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue with the story, but
That's okay.
Just
I'll
feeling
keep
a little
throwing them
dizzy
at
over
you.
here. Yeah.
So anyway, he was there the trip to Vegas, and we were talking about how okay, I did, some flight stuff, but I never got to solo. And so after my solo, he came up to me and gave me a big hug, and he goes, "You finally soloed." So that was a cute memory of him, and he was very sweet. So
the I don't know, announcement for who you are that's running through my head now is something mother, competitive bagpiper, crazy ska musician, solo helicopter pilot, spiritual medium, and nature lover.
And then, I make pies. That seems to throw people off too. The pie business. But yeah, I like to do all the things.
Speaking of culinary things, and being that you're you come from established Utah stock, how do you feel about pineapple on pizza?
I like it. It's not my go-to, but
what is your go-to? What's your favorite pie these days? By which I mean pizza pie.
I'm just kind of a plain Jane. I like a good pepperoni cheese.
You like the pepperoni, yeah?
But if I'm feeling crazy, it's true. If I'm feeling crazy, I'll do chicken, barbecue chicken.
Oh, for sure. You know what?
I don't get too fancy.
I think it's who does it? Is it Papa Murphy's? They do a Thai chicken, a curry thing pizza. Ooh. That I like a lot. I think it's really good. I know it sounds weird though.
No, I'm all about it.
I went to one place a little while ago with my buddy Kevin. I don't know if you ever got to meet Kevin Saunders. He's played.
Oh, I know the name.
While. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to a pizza place with another friend too, and actually it was Zach's big brother. But we got a pizza there that I'd never had before, a sausage pizza where they'd crumbled the sausage in such fine little granules.
Ooh,
it was tiny
so
crumbled, super smoky sausage, such that it was in the cheese. It's infused into the cheese. That was delicious.
Holy smokes!
That was so good.
Whoa.
Maybe this is a boring question for me to ask somebody who has so many cool hobbies, but are you binging any TV shows? Is there anything you get real excited about in that way?
Ooh, I binge everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting the impression you don't do things halfway. If you're going to do something, you do it all the way, right?
I go big or go home. I'm trying to remember the most recent thing that I watched. I don't know.
That's fine. I'm hearing the bird song in the background, so I'm like, oh, why am I trying to get this evolved human to come back to the troglodyte cave with me? She's living a good life.
No, well, being up here, I watch a lot of old. We have a pretty amazing VHS collection up here. So
that's fun.
I kind of transport myself back in time.
Yeah, I feel like you're a kid again.
My 1970s cabin that's just all original. It's like a time capsule.
That's awesome. That is too cool.
But I don't even remember. But yeah, my brain is slow.
Well, what about some favorite? I mean, do you, first of all, I don't mean to assume that all people who play bagpipes also listen to bagpipes. Maybe you're not into listening to it, but if you do like listening to bagpipes, what do you like to listen to? Trad groups, individual pipers, competitive pipe bands?
Yeah, no, I listen to a lot of bagpipe music.
Any favorites that we could call, here's some recommendations from Bethea, go check these ones out?
I don't know. I feel like they're just kind of everybody's favorites, really.
Yeah.
I love listening to, obviously, World Pipe Band, recordings and stuff of Slot and everybody, but I don't know. I love listening. I like Julie Fowlis a lot. And my daughter will sing Gaelic, which is really cute.
That's so cool. Is she making up Gaelic, or is she learning it phonetically from listening, or?
Yeah, she just kind of copies what she hears, and
that's too cool.
It's cute. But yeah, I listen to a lot of. I span it all. So
yeah,
I think I'm the one who should be taking recommendations.
No, not at all. Now, what about if money were no object and you could spend it on anything bagpipe related, whether that's an instrument or an experience or anything, where's this blank check gonna go to?
Oh man, I would love a awesome like solo piping kilt and like outfit.
Would you come
To
up
be
with your
very
own
lovely.
tartan, or would you find one that already existed?
Yeah, I'd probably find one.
Yeah.
And if I could choose, I would buy tartan and make it myself because it's more fun. So I did. I went to fashion school.
Did you really? Holy crap!
I did. And so
Adding
I always
one more thing to the list.
I would always get kind of chewed out because everything I chose was always plaid and tartan stuff, and it's like it's so hard to sew with that. It's so hard to match up perfectly, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just still using it. So,
was fashion school after you started playing pipes, or was that pre-pipes?
That was pre-pipes.
And so you just already were geared up for piping, like you were really, you were really set for it.
I've always been wanting to do it. I remember in college, I was trying to get my friends to play with me, and they always kind of thought I was joking. But
you already played the trombone, like that's the epitome of the musical instrument.
Right.
You'd already peaked there, so why?
And what's funny, I always tried to get my roommate to go and learn with me on campus somewhere, and she never did. But every year Wasatch plays in the Centerville Parade, and her husband, who I also knew from marching band, plays with he runs the 23rd Army Band. And so I see him every year, and I was like, I told you I was going to learn bagpipes, and he just laughs. It's like, you weren't wrong. You weren't kidding. So it's kind of funny. But
no, that's awesome. Well, now that you've been playing for a little while, and, since you've had experiences outside of piping as well, like if you were talking to somebody who was interested in piping and drumming, especially, in particular thinking like competitive pipe band kind of style, what would you tell them? Would you give them any kind of advice? Would you give them insight into how awesome it was? Would you warn them about anything?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would definitely encourage it. I was trying to remember what I was going to say.
I'm putting you on the spot with this. I do.
No, you're okay.
Apologize.
I think if there's anything I would warn about is just like, it's a time sucker. Like it will dominate your time if you, become committed to it,
I mean, look at you right now on vacation at your cabin, and yet also talking about pipe band with me.
And talking about bagpipes. I've got my
everywhere.
bagpipes. I've got my bagpipes set up over here. So.
Do you take them up there every time you go? Like you ever go up there without them? Yeah.
Nope, I always take them. And again, I always get self-conscious to play, which is weird, but
do you ever have
right
fun
now it's crowded.
The deer and elk, the animals that have longevity, like are they getting used to it,
I know. I like to think that, so the other day our dog up here brought home a weird skull, and I think it's a wolverine, which is really weird.
That's awesome.
I like to think that my bagpipes bring all the wolverines to the yard. Which is kind of...
That'll be the B-side on our first,
there you go.
The first SKAtish Power album.
My bagpipes bring all the wolverines
to the yard. That's too cool. That's really cool.
So, I don't know if they deter these animal friendships or if they are helping, but...
Right.
But it's happening, so...
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, Bethea. I think that it feels like that's an episode. That feels good to me. Does that feel good to you?
I'm happy with it. Yeah.
Feel
free to
I don't want to
edit whatever you want.
No. I mean, if I'm always happy to, like, if anything comes out from a guest that they later think like, oh, I shouldn't have said that about so and so or something like that. I'm always happy to help out in that way. But as far as like going off on tangents and stuff, that's what this is all about. Like the whole idea is. When we do see each other, it's all piping all the time. So like the whole idea is like, what's the other stuff that happens in your life, Yeah,
Very true. Yeah.
So the tangents are exactly what I'm mining for. So it's good.
Excellent. I'm all about a good tangent.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your time up there. I've really, really enjoyed. Like, I love it when I listen to a podcast.